we used to consider sellouts, like, oh, you guys sellouts, you guys suck,
You mean like the Metallica Black Album?
Well, yeah.
Welcome to Musing. Every once in a while, my brother George and I would have these conversations about music. Music is our passion, and it's a huge part of our lives, and we decided to share those conversations with you. So if you love music, sit back and enjoy this podcast.
Welcome back to Musing. Got my brother on the line.
How we doing?
Good. You can hear that smile in my voice because today's a surprise.
Today's a rarity. I mean, we've been a lot of episodes without... Well, to clue the listener in, I have no idea what we're doing today.
Well, we're talking about music. That's what we always do.
Right. That being said, it's going back old school. We got into a pattern of researching and lists and we kind of got off. We used to go off the cuff and just talk about what we liked and what we heard and what we felt, and which is never a bad thing. And neither is putting lists together and doing some research and finding out the actual facts. But
yeah, and a lot of those facts, sometimes we knew them, we just couldn't remember them. Or, we grew up with them in our history, which is, kind of foreshadowing to what we're going to do at the end of today's episode. But, well, no, we talked about, you had actually went over your music history at one point in time in one of our podcasts. I was trying to look back and find out when it was, but, we talked about me doing that, kind of talking about my history of music and how it's affected me in my life. And we never really got back to that. And if we have time, I kind of purposely picked my point was to give you three things to pick from.
Oh.
Two of them are really short, and one of them could go long. So, depends on what happens. But, I might go over my music history and kind of where I've come from with music and where it's brought me and why it's such a passion for me. But I will give you the three options.
Oh, jeez.
One's actually something you had brought up throughout the last couple of weeks, because I've purposely did exactly what you talked about. I would hear something on the radio, or I would see something in an article, and I would go, man, that either I strongly disagree or I strongly agree, and I'll pass that on and see how George feels. But so. The first one is kind of one you brought up, and it's radio killed the radio star. And we've had that kind of discussion before, and I had a specific point to make in it, and it was...
We better make it, because this could go long, too.
That's what I said. Well, that's what I said.
With me, anyway.
This is the long one, actually.
Oh, okay.
But, so, I think the specific point I was going to make is why bands even make albums anymore. Like, if they're only going to get one or two songs played on the radio, why not go to the AR people, the record people, and say, here's our 7 songs, we're going to play them for you. Which one do you think can sell? Screw the rest of them. We're not even going to make an album. It costs too much money. We'll play live stuff on the road. And, what that means to the musician. So that's kind of one. The other one is cover songs that you didn't know were cover songs. And I've been listening to one since the 80s and had no idea it was a cover song. I mean, I might have been mentioned to me at one point in time in passing or something, but I had no idea it was a cover song. And it made me think, let's talk about that. Let's talk about songs that cover songs that we had no idea were cover songs. Or, you might, and I kind of didn't know, or vice versa.
Well, I'm not saying I know all of them, but I'm a pretty big cover fan junkie, cover junkie.
And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I think you're a little more adept on that than I am, especially looking at the couple that I saw.
Well, I may or may not be off without doing some
research, right?
Yeah.
And the third one is we're always looking for that prolific sound or front man. And I wanted to make the argument that that Axl Rose was the most important frontman in the last 100 years. So we could, kind of kick that around and go around through his history. And you got quiet. Are you still there?
That was a joke. I thought you were joking.
I am joking.
Okay. Good.
I am joking.
Quintessential frontman, I'll give you, but if you're making an argument for Axl Rose is the best one ever, that might be a double issue or a double podcast.
I'm joking. No, I didn't. I had thought up a third one. There are a couple third ones, but it didn't ring very true. And there were some that I thought about and I went, it's just something we probably wouldn't have talked about anyways. But so I'm kind of leaving you with those two because I don't want to. I mean, one could go long, but I picked a specific part of it because we talked about the issues with music on the radio and how jaded it is. But I kind of wanted to go specific with it and kind of pick a specific point. Or we can go to the covers that you didn't think were covers and save the other one till later and make it a really long episode. Totally up to you. What you feel.
Well, I mean, I didn't know I was going to have options, I guess. But I mean, to me, we had talked about the radio issue. If you want to do specifics and non-specifics of how radio has killed rock music, and that's my opinion. I mean, that's
okay. Let's just go riff off that right now because I don't know if it's restricted to rock. I mean, it's our forte. It's what we listen to on a regular basis. But has the radio really killed all genres? Has it just killed music in general? Is it past its time? Is it something that was great when it was started? That it was a great way to get music to the masses and for free and with
it was mandated. It was almost mandatory.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But has it outlived its life?
Oh, by far.
Well, but why? We'll just kick it off. We'll go into that right now.
Technology, for one. I mean, this podcast is why. I mean, you put a Spotify list up. I listen to Pandora, and those that don't know us regularly. I mean, I'll send you videos of me singing along to stupid songs that they keep playing on the radio, that they've played on the radio nonstop since 1978, and whatever it is, either horrible guitar solos or pianos in rock songs. I send you things that they just keep. The radio, I think, at this point has slit its own throat and it's bled out. Basically, for lack of a less gross metaphor, they still play the same songs in heavy rotation that they did because now there's no way to keep up with it. I think is basically they've just like, we're just going to play Sweet Home Alabama, Don't Stop Believin' by Journey, and a Motley Crue song.
AC/DC,
a couple by AC/DC. We'll play Led Zeppelin, Guns N' Roses, and we'll play Sweet Child of Mine on every radio station, from light hits to contemporary rock radio. Every other song, and I don't know if it's a legal thing, because I don't know the radio industry. I don't know I know they get so much music or so much money to play certain songs, or they used to. And I heard John Mellencamp talk one time. He gets like a nickel every time a certain song is played on the radio. That was his contract.
Let's kind of keep it there for a second, because we're not privy to what the contracts that are signed then or nowadays either, as to what they can and can't play or have to play. Right. I think we're looking at this from a purely
fan.
I don't want to say fan. I think because we're connoisseurs of rock music. We've kind of lived through the decades of rock music, and again, it's our passion. Music's our passion, anyways. So we are looking at, I guess, from the fans' eyes as well, but we're also looking at it from the practical. That we've listened to albums we've picked up an album that had a song that they play constantly on the radio and listened to the rest of the album and went, oh my God, what are they missing? They're missing so many great songs.
Okay, you beat me to it.
Yeah.
We don't just listen to one song.
Right.
And I think that's what kills us. And the greater listener. Yes, there are hits. There are songs off albums that are a lot better than others, that stand out. A lot of times, I wouldn't say a lot of times, sometimes we have disagreed with, man, this should have been released as a single or whatever. And to me, I don't understand why they can't play some of the, I mean, when you played Don't Stop Believin', and okay, sure, they'll play Wheel in the Sky once in a while, or I'm picking on Journey just for an example, or okay, let's pick your favorite Guns N' Roses. Let's say, okay, they play Sweet Child of Mine on every station all the time. And once in a while on contemporary rock area, they'll play Welcome to the Jungle. And once in a great while, they'll play, but then they start playing November, they go to the next album, they play the big hit off another album, when, as well as I do,
Civil War. We talked about that the other day.
Right.
Was a better song.
Right. So there's a level of, why can't they play I get so tired of the repetition. I guess that's why I like the shuffle feature or whatever, because, if somebody sends me, a different song or a new song off a new album or something like that I can sink my teeth into, even if I don't like it, at least experiencing it, checking it out. But I'm so over, as a fan, as a lover of music, as a lover of and let's be honest, bands like, pick one, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Guns N' Roses, Journey, all these bands that have been on Led Zeppelin, that have been on the radio for 40 years, 50 years, literally have, mountains of catalog. I mean, they have hundreds, if not thousands, of songs, and they play the same four.
Right. Well, but that's okay. That kind of turns into exactly what I wanted to narrow the focus down to, is if you're looking at that idea that bands have these large catalogs that they could pick any song from. Again, we're kind of leaving the whole idea of legalities out.
All right.
Why do bands even bother today? Why do bands that want to get on the radio, like up and coming rock bands, we talked about rock kind of suffering at this point, but up and coming rock bands that are trying to get on the radio, why are the companies that are producing albums or cassettes or CDs, DVDs, digital downloads, why are they allowing 12 songs to be produced at this point?
Well, I think it's
good.
I think it's a catch-22. I think the radio won't play them, and they don't make them for radio anymore, but they still have to. You can't just release one song, because if that one song bombs.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying, is you've still got guys in the industry that know when a song's a hit. I mean, right. There's a reason that you pick a single.
To an extent.
Well, but there's a reason you pick a single off of an album to play on the radio, because it's the best of what's been brought to you by a specific artist.
Right.
Why go, have a concert, let these guys play their song, let the producer that's going to be producing the single or the pop hit or the top hit, whatever you want to call it, hear the songs and go, yep, that's the one. You just played the fifth song of your set. I'm going to listen to the whole set and see if anything comes out better. But that song right there is catchy. It has a good rhythm. It has good words. It has meaningful words. It's going to hit on the radio. We're going to take you in the studio, and we're only going to spend the money to produce this one song. If you want to make an album of your stuff, the rest of the 11 songs, go right ahead. We're going to give you a little bit of money. You can do it on your own. Why? My
theory on that, if you're going that route, is is that's assuming these bands have enough talent to make 12 decent songs.
Well, true.
And not just one. Think of how many one-hit wonders there are, brother.
No.
It's an infinite sea of mediocrity, and oh man, that song really, that's a pretty decent song, and it could hit radio play, and it might hit number 20 something on the charts, and make those guys living.
So insight to why I picked this focus is because one of the titles that I was going to go with today was bands that you like one song from, but you don't like anything else. And what
is that the same as a one-hit wonder or no?
No, that's what I'm saying is because for me, if you look at, God, I'm going to blank on the band's name. Every time I do this, I blank on the band's name.
See, that's why you need to do research.
It is, the album's Lemonade and Brownies, Mean Machine by...
Oh, Sugar Ray?
Yeah. I don't like anything else Sugar Ray has done. They have a lot of hits. They have a lot of songs that are still played on the radio. But
yes.
I love that song. That's kind of what made me think about this is, for me.
But that is so out of context for the band Sugar Ray as it is.
But that's what I'm saying. But if I was sitting in a room and... if you flash back to when that album came out and you had 20 other people that were listening to music at that time and were listening to the band play a set of 12 songs, I'm going to say, put that on the radio. That's the song right there. Don't play this other crap. That's it. So
okay, let me stop you right there, though.
Okay.
And they didn't, and look how popular they are because of the other crap that they put on.
I know, but that's kind of where I'm going with this is... should bands nowadays be thinking that with that mentality? That
I think that's bred into bands now. I think it's the focal point. You have to have a single or you're not going to, and it has to be, whatever. We have to pay Pandora to put it on, or we have to pay, get it on Spotify so people can hear it. Because the radio, to double back to our initial intent, the radio is dead. Radio is going to play, Sweet Home Alabama, Don't Stop Believin', Sweet Child of Mine, and it's not just, I listen to a variety. And I'm not kidding. I listen to 105.5 The Dove, like easy listening, and I listen to contemporary rock as like, they claim to be, horns up, we're sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And they play Bon Jovi. They play, I'm not kidding, like in heavy rotation. I send you video clips of me, like, they'll play Motley Crue and then they'll play Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama, Sweet Child of Mine, Sweet Home Alabama, and Home Sweet Home, like in concession.
Did you just do
on
that?
Contemporary rock? Yes, I did that on the fly, by the way.
Wow. No research or nothing on that?
No, that just came. But only because that's a true story. I'm not making that up. Yeah. I didn't have to research it. That's what contemporary rock radio is playing.
So, okay, so let's talk about that part too. Contemporary rock radio, quote unquote.
Yeah.
What's classic rock?
Oh man.
I'm going on a tangent here, but we're talking about the time frames of when people created albums. So classic rock there's no separation. It's like
not anymore.
They just keep stringing classic rock further forward.
Yes.
Like you can't really say classic anymore.
Well, it's like getting an antique plate for your car. It's 25 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than that, now you're talking like cars in the 90s. You can get antique plates.
Which that's starting to flood into the classic rock era, as they call it.
Exactly.
But again, when did that mindset change? So when do they stop calling it classic rock? When you get to a certain point, do we stop? Is Creed going to be classic rock?
No.
Greta Van Fleet at some point in time going to be classic rock? Are these bands?
No, I think they tabbed the Led Zeppelins, the corporate rock, the Bostons.
But I heard, Nirvana doesn't feel like classic rock to me.
No, it's not.
Well, I've heard
Just
many.
Just because it's the time frame it was in, I don't think signifies,
yeah.
Classic as a classic rock. Like, I think that we've got I say we, the 40 somethings, what do we consider generation? I don't even know. Do we have a letter? Generation X? I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, I think our generation, the 40 to 50 somethings now, I mean, I'll say 40 to 55 as a smaller window, a generational window. I think we have a notion of we're in that fell between the cracks. We're in limbo, sort of, because we remember in the 80s and 90s, classic rock was Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith
AC/DC,
and
Black Sabbath.
AC/DC. Well, Black Sabbath to an extent, but I mean, as far as radio play, I mean, you could turn on a classic rock station, you were going to get Journey and Foreigner and Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and things of that nature. Some of those bands have continued on to still make music, but we knew contemporary rock radio was going to have, Poison and Guns N' Roses and, and even
Warrant and Winger and.
Well, sure. I mean, because at that time, at the late 80s, that's what we had. We were going to get, and then like early 90s when Nirvana came out, it was new, it was happening, it was what was happening, went from hair metal to grunge, grunge killed the hair metal scene or whatever you want to call it, but it was still getting played on the radio as new music, and you still had classic rock stations that played, Journey and Foreigner and Boston and so on, so Led Zeppelin, so on and so forth. So then now, fast forward literally 20 years, and the technology is available to where I can literally open my phone up and go to any number of sites, not just one radio station, and find, if I Google classic rock, I could find 150,000 versions of classic rock. If I, contemporary rock songs, I could find, 750,000 contemporary rock songs. Because somebody has defined them as such. But we listen to the music that we like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be compartmentalized as classic rock or radio play or, contemporary rock or whatever. If we hear something, if you send me something, or if Pete sends me something, or if I hear something, on Pandora, it shuffles up that, that does kind of sound like that band. And then we did a podcast about bands you'd never heard of that make great music. That stuff is still happening, but the radio can't keep up anymore. So I think they just threw their hands up and like, we're just going to play Leonard Skinner and Journey and call it a win.
God, that's such a dark look at the.
Well, the advertisers, are paying them. And the advertisers are guys our age that still want to hear Journey, Boston, Led Zeppelin, Foreigner, and so on and so forth.
But, back into what we're originally talking about, the radio being dead, it's, I would have given anything in the late 80s, early 90s. I would have literally paid what I'm paying now for Spotify a month to not have ads on the radio. And I can do that now. I can do that now. I can put on classic rock, and because I paid my $9.95 a month or $7.95 a month or whatever it is, I don't have to listen to advertisements.
Absolutely.
Another reason radio needs to go away. I would honestly pay my local radio station the same money that when I get in the car, I don't have to listen to the songs that we have to listen to all the time or advertisements. Why can't I do that?
Because I told you that's why. I answered it earlier.
Yep.
Because Pandora and Spotify and the technology have killed it.
So then, okay, here's kind of the last question, and I'll give you my radio history or my music history, because I think this is probably going to be things we can dig into forever. But
sure.
What is keeping radio out there?
Advertisement.
No, but I mean, think about it. Go a little deeper. If I get in the car, 99% of the cars today can sync to my phone, and I can do what you just said. I can shuffle Pandora. I can shuffle my Guns N' Roses that nobody else likes.
Yes.
On the radio. I never even turn the actual radio on. I don't even need those buttons in front of me. Okay, news radio. I get it. If I'm in a city like Washington, D.C., I need to know the traffic when I'm driving somewhere. I get that. I get that's still there.
Sure.
I can get that on my phone too.
Well, that's what I said. I think technology has killed the radio.
But again, why is it still there? Why do I buy a car and they have to tell me that it comes with a 7 selector radio? Why do I need that anymore?
Because of our dad. I'm not kidding.
How did you bring him into this?
Well, A, it's his birthday today, but
well,
two,
this is true.
because there are still, I would wager, I mean, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that can't afford Pandora or Spotify.
True.
They can't afford a car that syncs to their phone, and they can't afford a $1,000 iPhone, and they can't afford a car that syncs to that phone. I think there's and those people still want to hear Leonard Skinner and Foreigner, and let's be honest, we are if not a unique breed of music listener.
Well, I think there's a lot in our you went to talk about Gen Xers, and there's a lot in our time frame that have adopted newer technology a lot quicker than others because we lived through it. You lived through what technology was when it started. And you're right, our parents didn't really have that technology base to start with. We started with where technology started, where computers started, and interfacing the internet and everything started. We saw that happen, and
exactly.
You're right, there's a lot of people out there, but make it an option. And I don't want a radio in my car. I got everything I need on my phone. Why would I worry about it? You're right. The money sometimes does fall into it, but you can still get Spotify for free. You can still get Pandora for free. You just have the same ads like you do on the car. You actually have a lot less.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Most cars nowadays, it's not even an option that you have to get, that you can connect either Bluetooth or via, a cable that just runs directly into the face of the car or the face of the radio.
Right.
It's not even an option you can opt out of anymore.
Right.
But radio it feels so clunky. It's so archaic at this point.
100%.
It feels like 8-track. It feels like cassettes. It feels even like CDs at this point.
Well, the technology, I think, and especially as of late, see, we went through it seems like it took us forever because, like you said, we were there at inception. They were still, when we were growing up, they were still pressing vinyl regularly.
Yeah.
8 tracks were like,
on the way out, but...
Well, yeah, but I mean, they were still prevalent, but they were still a pain in the butt, And then cassettes came in, and, I was like, wow, you don't have to skip tracks, anymore, or, you don't have to, but you had to flip the side. It's kind of like an album because, you got so many songs on side A and then side B. And then when CDs came out, it was... It was a progression. It was, like late 70s through the 80s, the early 90s, and into 2000. I mean, it took 20 plus years for us to get something that was, we can just skip ahead to the next song without, holding the play and fast forward button down, to skip ahead to try to get to the next song and then having to rewind a little bit, to get to the beginning of the song on a cassette.
The struggle was real.
Right. Or, have play and record held down and the pause button and then let off the pause button as soon as the song starts on the radio. We can
Wait a minute, was
But
that legal?
No, of course not. Just like Napster. But, and that's
We
why
were
radio
Napster
stations,
before Napster.
that's why radio stations talked over the songs, so we couldn't
Yeah.
pirate music back then. That's why they talk over the beginning, the intro, and that's why we were so pissed off about that stuff. And that's why Q105, doctored the Starship song that I still think is one of the coolest things they ever did. But I think maybe it's jealousy, petty jealousy, that took us so long to get. We didn't have the internet to be. When we were young, we didn't have the internet. We had to, we had to use the Dewey Decimal System in the library.
We had to call our friends on telephones.
Right, we had to go knock on their door. I'm just saying. I think maybe it's. I'd hate to say petty jealousy, but we had to wait for the availability and deal with the technology that we had. Now, if I want to hear Celine Dion's version of You Shook Me All Night Long, I can do that instantaneously. And I'm still mad at you and Pete Pardo for those two. I hate both of you right now still. It's going to take me a minute to get over the Garth Brooks metal cover and Motley Crue covering Like a Virgin. Both of those need to go away.
You're killing me, because when you say these on the podcast, I got to search them out and put them on this.
You guys sent them to me. You guys started this. That's what I said. I'm mad at both. So that's your penance. Pete's laughing right now if he's listening to this. But I'm just saying that there's that it's instantaneous availability, and I think we had to wait 20 years to get it, and we're mad now that I can. I'm mad because my 11-year-old can Google a song and show me the song that he's talking about. No, or he just says some of the lyrics into his phone and it spits the song he's talking about up on YouTube.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I think that's maybe. I don't think it's part of the problem. I'm a fan of being able to do that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a fan of you being able to send me a link and I can check out a song and you're, 800 or 1,000 miles away from me. And likewise with Pete, he's, somewhere in New York and I'm in Central Florida, and he can instantaneously in the middle of the day around lunchtime, tell me about Motley Crue covering a Madonna song, and I'm, regrettably, I can check that out, and it's instantaneous. And I think that's where radio, it's still, radio is the basis, I think is a shockwave of ground zero of music.
But I don't,
because in the 50s we had radio.
But they had the same technology. Well, hold on. But radio was also really different back then.
Yes.
You had what do you call them? You had like plays, or you had
like the Lone Ranger,
serials,
or
right? Serial shows that were on that you waited for, kind of like TV, pre-TV, obviously.
Right.
But radio stations today have the same technology we have. They have the ability to, hey, let's play Pink Floyd, but let's play something off of Dark Side of the Moon that no one's ever heard.
See, that's where I think it falls into the legal part of it.
It probably does, but again, how are they still making money on that if so few people
advertisers
but hold on. But advertisers also look at those numbers and say, we're paying you to put our ad on the radio. We should see a change in our sales based on this ad that we're paying you for. If we don't pay you anymore. Right. How are they still making money if so few people really listen to the radio? Or maybe we're wrong. Maybe people are really listening to the radio. I know that, again, I listen to it for the traffic because I have to drive in Washington, D.C. traffic.
Right.
But I don't put the regular radio station on if I don't have to. My phone's on and Spotify's running or Pandora's running and shuffling in the background.
Well, see, I think to give you a counterpoint to that, where I work in a building a block structure where I don't have Wi-Fi. So like if I either have to use data or and it's in a block building, so sometimes it buffers.
Yeah,
so
true.
I just turn the radio on in the shop. My work truck, if I go out on the road, is a 2004 it's a fleet truck that just has an AM/FM radio in it. No USB ports, no line-in ports, not a cassette player where I could put a cassette in with a wire on it to my phone, nothing. So I'm literally forced to listen to the radio.
I think you have to explain that last statement to some of our listeners.
They had a cassette
with cable.
that didn't have
I don't
tape
understand.
in it. That had a wire to it that you could plug in your phone.
What's a tape?
Yeah, right. So that's what I mean. So I'm literally forced to, and there's worse than that. There are 4 presets.
Only 4? Oh my God! How do you live with yourself?
That's what I said. So you talk about archaic and clunky, and
But there's options around that. I mean, look, there's cheap Bluetooth speakers out there that will probably have a 10 times better sound than the speakers in your 2004 truck. You can get them for like $39, and I'm not saying that's a little amount of money. I'm just saying that there's reasonable options out there.
You're making my point for me, though.
But that's what I'm saying. But I kind of
technology killed the radio.
Well,
radio has killed the rock star, but technology killed radio.
Yes. Well, I guess maybe they're 2 different things. I don't know.
I think they're infinitely intertwined or interlocked.
Yeah,
where you can't have one without the other. It's a catch-22. You kill one and you can't have the other without the other type of
but
thing.
There's still, Sweet Child of Mine to play, or Free Bird to play, or
that's where I think the radio quit. They're only making money on advertisements because they're not making money on the music anymore.
Well, again, we're not privy to what the.
Well, but I mean, they've paid their pennant. They paid you have to pay us. Have to pay the artist this much to get the song on for us to let you play this song on the radio. And it's long since been paid for. So they just keep playing it because it doesn't cost them anything to play it anymore.
Right.
They're just making money off the advertisers. So I think that's, and like I said, we're not going to pay for new music because you're already paying, you and I are already paying for new music on Pandora or Spotify or YouTube or pick one.
Or not even paying for it.
Or not even paying for it and still getting it. But if you don't pay for Pandora, you pick a band and they'll play the same 12 songs that you thumb up or thumb down or whatever it is, or
Yeah, true.
But if you go on, the thing I've noticed is, like with radio stations, is now they'll say, well, like I'll use Tampa 98 Rock as an iHeart radio station, meaning iHeart Radio, the internet listening device, owns that radio station. So they're playing what people are paying iHeart Radio to play. They're paying, they're just go ahead and putting it on their radio station and regurgitating it that way also. So I don't think it's a money-making thing, radio, anymore, as they're using iHeart Radio, or they're using, any radio station, when they announce the call letters, they say it's a Beasley Media Group, it's a iHeart Radio station. They'll tell you who's paying for them,
who's footing the bill, and like I said, I don't think radio itself it used to be a money making industry, and I don't think it is anymore because of, like you said, the advertisers are not showing any growth because they can advertise on Pandora half as often and get twice as many listeners and make twice as much money. Yeah, I don't know what is going to be the final nail then. I don't
think you'll ever kill radio, but radio can just radio commits hara-kiri daily. They literally fall on the sword every day and just. Can you imagine wanting to be a DJ or being a DJ,
dude,
nowadays?
Big Rig is still in our area. You know that, right? In my area right now.
He's still every day from middays on 98 Rock in Tampa where he started.
Yeah. So.
But what I'm saying is you either have to be nationally go nationally, i.e. Bubba the Love Sponge, Howard Stern type of DJ shock jocks that was a genre for a while, or you have to do these promotional things. You have to go, sell cars on a Sunday afternoon and broadcast live to make any money as a DJ, because, oh my word, I would want to hang myself if I had to play, Sweet Home Alabama every fourth song on contemporary rock radio every day. It's not just once in a while. It doesn't just flash up. It's like, oh, I haven't heard that in a while. No.
My son plays that game where it's, would you rather this or would you rather that? Would you rather work in 98 degrees and 100% humidity as a welder, or would you rather work in a radio station playing Led Zeppelin all the time?
Wow. I'd have to get back. That could be a podcast in and of itself. I'll have to get back with you on that one, because.
But seriously, I mean, you brought up a really good point. I mean, those guys must really either, one, love those single songs, or two, hate or could care less and are getting a paycheck. I don't know.
I would say to me, you'd have to be numb to it, because you would have to like push play and
turn the music off
and turn your headphones off, and walk out of the studio and get a cup of coffee or something. Yeah, but seriously, the technology, I mean, most of this stuff is computer ran now anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, they're just filler. So they have to show up and, hey, we're at, PetSmart, adopting kittens today, come out and see us and get a t-shirt, or, whatever, 98 Rock t-shirt, or whatever it is. We'll be here from 4 to 6, it's that.
So I'll tag onto that and kind of give you the last point that sounds like we're going to end up missing my history, because this has turned into a good conversation, which is fine. But I'll tag on to what you just said. So are we, because of the radio, and this might be why radio is still going to be around for a while, are we raising a generation of people, even, the last 2 generations, we're already looking at, 2 generations below us at this point. Are we turning them into people that don't care about the other 11 songs? That, I started this whole thing with, why do we even produce 11 or 12 songs on an album now? We just pick the 1 or 2 that are going to be hits and just put them on the radio, and who cares about the rest? If the band wants to make them, go do what you want. If not, we're not going to pay for it.
Yes, and I think 100%, because I've even said that in past episodes, that it's what have you done for me lately? The attention span is nil.
Yeah,
but absolutely zero.
But I said, is radio the cause of that? Or I mean, I know that because if you think about it, my son's listened to Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 back and forth. He knows songs on there that kids another generation older than him probably have never heard. They've probably heard Black Dog on the radio, but they've never heard some of the other songs that don't get played on the radio. And he likes some of those songs. So is radio the one that's perpetuating that attitude in kids? And how long is that going to take to change? Are you going to be able to get kids to look at an album and go, man, there's so many good songs on that album other than Hotel California?
No.
Never.
No, because now I think the quality has been watered down so far that, like you said, what these bands are. Greta Van Fleet they released an EP. What, 4 songs?
I think so.
So that's what I mean. So that falls into what you were talking about. Hey, listen, you guys are really good, but let's just release an EP and see how it does. Everybody sound like Led Zeppelin. Let's make a full album.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And other than Highway Tune, name the 3 other songs off their EP.
Can't do it.
Right. So what? I think it's going to get worse. I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get worse.
But that's what I said. I think that maybe
especially if we go your route where you said,
right,
make one song.
Well, I
Because
think
what else is there to listen to?
I think
Unless
that's
you listen to Led Zeppelin, it's got a huge catalog.
Well, but
Huge,
I think that's what's going to happen. I really see that as the future of where music's going to go to. Is it's really going to turn into a, for lack of a better word, a one-hit wonder horizon. I mean, that's basically going to be, you're going to get one hit at a time. Which, I don't know, if I look
That's
at
all we ever got.
Well, but again,
rarely
it's
did they
because
release
of the
two
radio,
singles. Right, unless the band was really popular, rarely did they release, like two singles, you know.
But that's what I'm saying is if you look at the way the horizon's changing of music, I think it's going to go to that. I think it's going to be, you're going to get one or two songs. But let me shine the silver lining on it, though. That might also mean that the bands that are really good, that we're going to get more hit songs closer together. When you talk about pulling a hit song or one or two off of an album, that's great, but they spent 6 months writing this album, a year and a half touring, another 6 or 8 months writing the next album to get one or two songs off of it for us. Right. Now they can write those two songs, get some good radio play on them, tour for 6 to 8 months, playing other songs and writing other songs, and they're ready to start recording those next two hit songs. Maybe that shortens the span of how quickly we get music. Maybe it already has. Maybe bands out there nowadays are putting out more hits and more listenable songs because of that time frame lag now, or that lack of lag.
Yeah, but we talked about the bands in the 70s and 80s. They had to have new music ready soon, or they disappeared.
Well, that's why I said maybe bands are going to stick around. It's weird though,
because of the radio, though. They had, because that was their only exposure. But they had to come up. They didn't just have to come up with one song. They had to come up with 8, 10, 12, 14 good songs, good enough to make an album in a short period of time because of the radio.
So is it more proper to say digital killed the radio star?
Well, technology, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more the title.
Yeah, I think that's probably close. I think we came close to that earlier, but yeah, I think that's. There's no way around. You can't avoid it now. And with auto-tune and lip syncing and so on and so forth, and these bands, they tour. There's a handful of bands that, that's their forte. Live shows is what they do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's, okay, next.
Right.
It even
every genre, and that's not restricted to just rock either.
Right, because of the short attention span and the inability to catch lightning in a bottle twice, so to speak.
Yeah.
There aren't bands, artists, musicians nowadays that can put 12 songs out a year that are worth listening to.
Yeah, exactly.
One hit and 11, songs, like, wow, that, this is a really complete album. Because even the ones that do aren't going to get radio play. They aren't going to get put on Pandora or Spotify because there's no money in it.
Yeah, exactly. Money's in the concerts. Money's in the live performances, selling it to a TV show, selling it to an advertisement.
Right. Seeing if you can get put on Pandora now. Seeing if you can be, put on I said MTV out loud.
I told you the other day that Greta Van Fleet was already on a car advertisement on the TV.
Right. They're on Fanatics sports jerseys too. The beginning of the Highway Tune. That's what I mean. So if you're not selling yourself, we used to consider sellouts. Like, oh, you guys sellouts. You guys suck. You mean
like the Metallica Black Album?
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
But
that was one of my other choices, by the way. The difference between Metallica before and after. Aren't you glad we avoided that one?
No, because we could do that. That could be a podcast. But I mean, the whole, unless you sell out, unless you know, they're using a Motorhead cover of a Rolling Stone song on an Acura commercial.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
So,
Speaking of covers,
you know, so Lemmy dies, and oh, you know what? We're selling out because we're tired of being broke. You know, it's all cool to be the rock star until you can't eat. You know, the starving artist has turned into the starving rock star now. That you know, you have to sell the commercial. You have to let, you know, people use your music for, whether it's a political campaign or a Honda commercial. That's the only way you're going to make money.
Yes.
To be a rock star, because technology is, I can literally click the forward button and find somebody else instantaneously now.
Yeah.
Pandora will tell me what I want to listen to. Spotify will tell me what I want to listen to. YouTube will tell me what I want to listen to. That sounds like that, but it's better.
Right.
I mean, instantaneous, not like no lag, no buffering, no 12-month wait between albums, no, you know, wait through the commercial, 30 minutes worth of commercials on the radio. It's instantaneous.
No digging through bins to find bands that are labeled as the same as this. No asking your friends, hey, I listened to this song, you got anything else like it? No friends coming up and telling you, hey, you know, I know you like Led Zeppelin, check these guys out. You know,
that was the coolest story. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it was the coolest story. I thoroughly remember Sound Exchange.
Oh yeah.
I used to go to Sound Exchange, and you know, I'd buy CDs, I'd listen to them till I got bored, and I'd take them in there, and they'd give you pennies on the dollar towards other CDs, you know, different CDs. That was like Pandora for, you know, geeks. And but I remember digging through there, and the 99-cent bin was Corrosion of Conformity's Deliverance. It had 99 cents. I still have the CD with the big, I mean, it is big, probably like 2 inches by 2 inch, 99-cent sticker right on the front plastic.
You know you can change those out, right?
No, I know that, but I left it on there because that always symbolized to me that what we're overlooking.
Yeah, no, it is.
Deliverance, Corrosion of Conformity's Deliverance album is one of my front to backs.
It's look, people that really care about rock and roll, that should be on their list anyways. I mean, it's
absolutely,
yeah,
it's brilliant.
It's a well-rounded, groundbreaking album for that genre, and
brilliant rock metal. I mean, it is it's a gorgeously produced, well written, and
ensemble cast too. I mean, you're looking at musicians that have either did stuff before or went on to do amazing things after.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. But I mean, I always thought that's what we're missing, because you can dig through the 99-cent bin and find a gem like that. It's getting harder and harder to find that, and people are selling themselves for a lot less than 99 cents even nowadays.
True.
Especially musicians. Just to get that one chance, that one spark, that one possibility of being seen or being heard,
or being put on a commercial,
or selling Hondas. Right.
Well, that's probably a good place to tie it up. We literally could probably talk about this till tomorrow at this point. But,
absolutely. Yeah.
We'll reserve the rest of it for another day, and I'll tell my story at some point. It'll get out there sooner or later. But we'll probably wrap this up. And I don't have a parting shot, but I'll tell you what. I will tell you the song that I heard that was a cover that I had no idea was a cover.
Oh yeah, I was
on the radio
about that anyway.
And we can still have that conversation later. But I had no idea that the Black Crowes' "Hard to Handle" was a cover.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty ashamed to admit it.
I didn't either. So
you didn't know it was either?
No. Who did it originally?
Otis Redding.
That sounds valid. That's believable.
Dude, look it up, because it is a completely different feel than the way the Black Crowes played it. And I was floored when I looked it up. I think I was listening to the radio, and the DJ, I'm putting these in air quotes so kids can understand what we're talking about. the DJ told me that it was a old Otis Redding song, and I looked at the radio and went, what? Are you serious? And then I went to YouTube and typed in "hard to handle" Otis Redding, and there it was, right in front of me. So we'll leave you with that. Hey, brother, we'll catch up to you next time and kind of find a new thing to talk about that's not radio killed the radio star.
Definitely, I'm all for it.
Okay, I'll catch you later, brother.
Don't forget to check us out on social medias.
Yes.
George Seibert, Craig Seibert, musicmusingfeedback@gmail.com. You can send us hate mail or tell us why you like the radio.
And our Instagram account is on fire because of you. Because I didn't have time to do it. I mean, we still have Twitter and we got a lot of followers, but check out the Instagram account. It's Music Musing. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And check us out on social media and check out the podcast. Download it. Let us know what you think.
Leave a review. Yep.
All right.
Catch you later, brother.
All right. See ya.
Yep, see ya.
We want to talk to you about music. Reach out to us at musicmusingfeedback@gmail.com.
You can also find us on most social media sites by searching Music Musing or George or Craig Seibert, Seybert.
And you can also find us on Twitter as musicmusing_ as well.
Thank you for listening to this Music Musing podcast.